What's going on, everyone?
Yeah, a good evening.
Oh, man, so much better.
Back to the evenings.
So much better. I'm not drinking water. I'm drinking bourbon.
Well, and you took me literal when I said we can try to do Wednesdays, and it almost caught me off guard earlier because we are recording on Wednesday night, and it's, you texted me earlier and you said 8:45. I was like, yeah. I was just standing there at the grill. I was like, well, yeah, I can do that.
I hadn't heard from you. I said, I wonder if he's forgot. So we're going to do it, 8:45. I said, I'm ready. And this is nice because now I can go in and I could actually just go to bed if I want to.
Well, you're right, yeah, because you do all the editing on the podcast.
Yeah. So I'm normally on Thursday nights when I get in, I have to edit because I want it to drop at 4:30. Now, I am a procrastinator to the 9th degree, so I'll probably be doing this tomorrow night.
You'll still be doing it at 11 o'clock tomorrow
yes.
night?
Yeah.
It won't change anything as far as that goes.
No, it won't. I operate on a procrastination schedule. Like, that's how I am.
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
So, I might win Dad of the Year honors for this. But as I was getting ready to leave, and I was telling the kids, like, hey, I'm actually doing a podcast tonight. Like, tonight? Why are you doing? I was like, well, that means I won't be doing one tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And their world was like all shook up. I was like, well, here, y'all help me pick out which bourbon I'm going to drink.
What'd they pick?
I set 4 out there on the counter, and it was predictable because cool bottle with the buffalo on it, but buffalo trace. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I was like, hey, I don't hate that choice, guys.
Yeah,
so,
that's a tried and true one, you know.
Well, what about you?
The new riff.
Man,
that's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, like I say, it's a little hotter. What, about 120 proof?
I think it is
115. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
That is good stuff.
I like it. While you're also sipping your bourbon, hop over on the web, the world Al Gore's creation.
Yeah, just scroll on over
to agzaga.com and use that code, Talk Dirt, all one word, all caps.
Yeah,
get anything you need.
You don't ever know what new items they might have on there.
They might have cocaine on there.
Say, took us just a little over 2 minutes to get to a cocaine reference in this episode.
That's right. I wasn't going to let it go by. We are going to mention cocaine in every episode.
Apparently we are, but yeah, go to agzaga.com, check them out. Do you follow like Justin Danger Nunley?
Yes.
Like, he's always got the weird thing in his videos where he's like wearing one crop,
yes,
where he has the body bags. We need to have like a brick of cocaine.
We do.
Obviously not actual cocaine, but like just sitting randomly.
We do need to kind of get like almost like a Field Ethos vibe there, you know? I feel like those guys.
Where it's like for our YouTube audience, and I know YouTube makes up like a tiny fraction of our actual listeners, but like where's the brick of fake cocaine?
We need to, that would be good. We need to treat out. We need a gold-plated AK.
There we go.
That would pair well with a block of, or brick. Sorry, my terminology. A brick of cocaine.
That tells you right there we're not legit.
Yeah, I will not freebase. I will not freebase cocaine.
I don't even know what freebase and cocaine means.
I don't either. I just heard the Alabama rehab.
I don't even know what any of that means.
Oh man, I'll show you when we get off air.
Okay.
There was one other thing. Guys, leave us a comment and hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the little bell. I actually hit the bell now on like the stuff that I'm really digging. I hit the bell and comment. We got a couple of comments. I think I need to go in there and I don't know if we replied to them.
Well, and I need to check that too, because a lot of times while I'm uploading on YouTube, I'll check previous comments, but we haven't hammered y'all on it in a while because we just had the giveaway and all, which Logan's wearing the hat. BJ got a badass half.
He's going to get the knife tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, because the post office was closed this weekend.
So that's right. We had the Labor Day. But you never know what we're going to get. But my point is, leave a rating and a review. That, for whatever reason, besides telling 2,500 of your buddies about the podcast, which that'd be really awesome.
That's the number one thing.
Yeah, tell other people about it. Spread the word. But leaving a rating and a review really helps when people are like, hey, let me find a new podcast to listen to. And they, whatever. And it pops up. It's like, oh, I've never heard of this. Oh, wow, these guys are really intelligent and funny. And
dashingly handsome.
Yeah, if they're watching on YouTube, they're probably struck by our wonderful looks.
Yeah.
But
anyway. Well, it does. And I will say, from my own personal experience, if I'm kind of exploring different podcasts, and I see like 2 pull up, and I hate that I'm this way, but I know that I'm this way, and everybody else just about is too. If I see like 1 and it has 8 reviews, then I'm like, nah. I go to the next one and it has 500 reviews. I'm gonna probably give the one with 500 reviews. So that it gives it a little cred.
And I don't know that I listen to that many that I'm. Mine is usually word of mouth. Like I'm listening to a podcast that mentions another podcast. I was like, oh, I'll listen to that or whatever. But oh man, I forgot where I was going with that. I'll do that on YouTube. Like if I'm like just looking for something new to look at, or like I search for subjects, I need to figure out how to do something. And one's got 180 views and the other one has 18,000. You can better believe I'm clicking on the one with 18,000.
Yep.
Which, as somebody who does YouTube, I can tell you that frustrated
you bastard, you
hell out of me when I first got started. I was like, so you can't get views until you've got a lot of views, basically. Yeah. So basically what you're telling me is I'm screwed here.
Yes.
That's why we always YouTube is a marathon, not a sprint.
Well, here's what you need to do. Y'all need to leave us reviews and comment, and we'll comment back. I'll give Heather a shout out. She shared. I saw she shared a screenshot of our thing. She might have even put a link in there in her stories, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
Word of mouth is the best way to share it, guys. And if you share it and I see it get mine or Bobby Lee's attention, hey, we'll give you a shout out. So Heather, we appreciate it.
Another
You're
way
awesome.
to spread the word, you can go to the website, which is actually not the Talk Dirt website. We can still probably get a link there.
Yeah, probably.
But go to hurricanecreek.farm, and under shop, you can buy a Talk Dirt to Me shirt. You're wearing that shirt out in public, people are like, man, where'd you get such an awesome shirt? And you can tell them all about it. But anyway.
And there is still some larges.
Yeah,
XLs?
I believe we have medium, large, and extra large. Yeah, I went light on the XXLs because I was like...
He underestimated how big and bad to the bone our audience is.
That's right. Some of you dudes, y'all are either just super yoked or, hey...
You're just a big old fella,
just
man.
Big old boys. But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
I told Logan when I was ordering, I was like, I ordered a bunch of large and extra large, a few mediums, a few XXLs. We sold out of the XXLs like right away. So we have a bigger audience than I had thought.
Yeah,
so
it's cool, man. We'll start an army.
When we do that again, you're damn right. We'll know better next time.
That's right. All right. We got some emails. We got some stuff. I got to finish up my
got a couple
stories.
of topics we didn't get to last, which, like I say, we got a lot of good feedback from last week, which I came into that episode like for those of y'all out there, we don't do a lot of we don't get together for 2 hours, before we air and script things out. Like I show up usually late. Tonight I was early. We walk in here, we sit down. We're like, you guys something to talk about? Okay, good. Let's talk.
Yep.
Because
it's organic.
You're hearing this for the first time. Like we have not pre-discussed this. Every now and then we might text, say, hey, I got this cool story I'll talk about, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was hearing all that for the first time. And I was, and I actually went back and listened to it later. And even after listening to it, after I, of course, had the conversation, I was like, man, yeah, that was one of my more thought-provoking episodes.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I
agree. Well, and that, I was telling Bobby Lee off air, man, it's got me going down a rabbit hole. I'll give a shout out, Callie and Casey Means. They went on Tucker Carlson's show, and one of our listeners, Philip, good buddy Philip Law, he reached out to me after that episode, and he was like, good episode, man. He said, you need to check out this podcast. So I listened to it, and it blew my mind. And to the point where, I told my wife, I said, a goal for the farm store is to go regenerative. And look, it's funny. I've heard regenerative, I've seen the shows, and oftentimes I relate that to it's like some liberal hippie.
Yeah.
And I got the long hair, so I might be kind of a hippie, but there ain't a damn liberal bone in my body. So I'm like, well, maybe we need a little reinventing of the regenerative face. But it's got me wanting to go that route. And I've already I was talking to a buddy of mine about it. We've been talking about, that's all I've been talking about. And on the row crop side, and he was like, well, man, you already plant green, you do cover crops. He's like, you're fairly progressive.
Right, amongst the agriculture community, because, we are hardcore conservatives.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say, you're definitely, more on that end of the spectrum within
I was
ag.
gonna probably dye my hair blue.
There you go.
But no, and if I could figure out a way to actually go all regen on the row crop side, dude, I'd do it. I'd do it at this point. Like I mean, we talked about it last week. I think there's some. I believe, just like I do with medicine, for every medicine you take, there's generally a side effect of some sort. I mean,
well, that's true of not even medications. It's true of everything.
Yep.
I mean,
I'm drinking alcohol right now.
There's and obviously some people say, well, studies have shown like a glass of red wine, one a day is good for your heart. Yeah. Well, you drink a bottle a day, and that's bad. And like everything, spending too much time in the sun, you could get skin cancer.
Yeah.
But we also know that vitamin D, sunlight, fresh air is essential to good health. So it's everything.
The dose is the key.
Yeah. And
that's where I'm like, and if I can mitigate, cut back, I love that idea. So who knows? It might be some big changes coming.
Well, I don't know, and of course where my bread gets buttered is me. Working on animals, and of course we do a lot of things that are, more natural type medicine, but we prescribe a lot of prescription medications. We give a lot of vaccines and whatnot, and so, but I'm still, like I tell people all the time, like a dog with arthritis, for instance,
You're like, take it out back. Take a 45,
the
9.
most natural thing ever.
Yeah. High speed.
Like, look, I'll tell them, like, I got a half dozen anti-inflammatories on my shelf back here that'll make your dog's arthritis better. But number one, usually, and we talked about this last week, if he loses weight, that'll help him more than anything.
Yeah.
Number two, I don't make a lot of money selling prescription medication, but little. Most of our income is from services. But if your dog's having a good day and doesn't need it, don't give it. Like, I am hardcore about that. I'm weird. Like, I won't even take 2 ibuprofen most days.
Yeah.
I'll take 1.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm something really went wrong, I'll take 2. But I'm just like, I feel I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to that.
Agreed.
And so, yeah, I'm just, because it's not natural, and not that natural is the end all be all, but I don't know, a little side tangent there.
Well, and I agree. So I think you might see some changes. I will say, if I try to go full-blown regen on the row crop side, then I will revive the shit out of LH Farms YouTube channel, because I was thinking about that. I'm like, hell, that'd be a hell of a thing to document, because it's no telling how hard. I mean, it's challenging. It's a big challenge to try to go that route. It is pretty wild. I mean, Gabe Brown is kind of he's the celebrity of the regenerative ag, and he doesn't strike me as like a liberal guy. He
may have been the one that somebody commented on me about using nitrogen fertilizer.
Probably, because he's like, why would you use nitrogen when you can harvest it from the atmosphere? It's kind of Gabe's thing.
Well,
and
look, man, hey, I got clovers in my pasture. Is that what he's talking about?
Kind of, yeah.
It's still, at least in my practices, if I'm going to maximize my grasses, I'm not there yet. I'm not getting enough nitrogen.
And seeing that,
I could just refuse to put nitrogen fertilizer down, and I can show you my numbers from my hay production, from my first cutting where I didn't have any nitrogen in my second.
Yeah.
And it'll blow your socks off.
But see, he is not so, like, he isn't blinded by it. Like, he inherited, they work 5,000 acres. Now they do cattle as well. And basically how that all came to be was he married into this. His wife, her dad was a farmer. Gabe was a city slicker. And, he went to school for agriculture. His wife...
That's what Sharky always talks about, that when you're picking out a wife, you need to get out the plat book.
Well, he picked a good one.
Yeah. Find somebody who's got a lot of land.
Yes.
But you see all those memes, and it's like...
The old woman?
It's like a young guy with like an old woman, and clearly it's like when she has,
1,000 acres
of rich river bottom land.
Yeah.
Or it'll be from the hunting angle, it's like when she owns, some prime hunting property.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Well, that's pretty much his wife.
Or it'll be a young guy which is like a really
ugly
young lady. It's like, but when her dad owns a bunch of nice hunting ground.
Well, and that might have been Gabe's plan. I don't know. I haven't seen his wife, but
I'm sure she's a lovely lady.
Yeah. I'd love to get Gabe on, because he's done a lot of shows. But long story short, he married her. Her dad was a farmer. and he was a conventional tillage, like he did tillage, everything, farmed like everybody else did.
She married the hippie.
She married the hippie, and he had 4 like bad years in a row. His father-in-law came to him and basically was like, "Man, I'm ready to get out. You want to just take it over, buy me out?" So he did. Hail wiped out their crop one year. They had wheat. They're in North Dakota.
Okay.
Hail wiped them out the first year. Hail wiped them out the next year. I think they had 1 year where they made a crop, and then the 4th year, hail wiped out their crop again. So he was like, all right. So he completely changed and went to this regenerative thing, and it's pretty astonishing. And
But so they don't raise wheat anymore?
I think he still does. He still does some row cropping.
So hail doesn't damage regeneratively farmed wheat?
I don't know. I guess not.
Oh yeah, where that was going.
No, he was talking about losing so much money.
Oh.
See, his
Well,
inputs.
I would think, surely to God, they had insurance for hail.
It was but I mean, I'm sure it was 70% coverage.
Right, yeah, it was enough to save their ass, but not make any money. Yeah.
But he does not buy seed, chemical, or fertilizer, and because he reuses his own seed now, because he's not buying the technologies.
And he's just not using any chemical or fertilizer.
No, that's what the podcast listened to was in this year, and the guy asked him, he said, what's your total input cost for 2024? He said about $19.75. And he was like, really? He was like, yeah, I don't remember what he had bought, but it was, literally $19. And the guy asked him,
he's got to have fuel.
Well, we don't have, when we say inputs, we're talking just seed, chemical, fertilizer.
Okay.
Because, man, if I start adding all that shit, that list gets long.
Because even if he's saving a seed, they don't plant themselves.
No, and it's just really, it's a really fascinating thing to me, and but it's a cycle, and that's what Gabe, he's not going to tell you, all right, you're going to just all of a sudden you're going to take this whole normal operation, you're going to completely change it to regen in 1 year.
Which we need to talk about our own stuff, not just but does he spread any natural fertilizers?
I don't know that he does.
I need to look him up, just watch him sometime. But anyway,
Understanding Ag, for anybody that's curious, is his organization, and they actually have mentorship programs and all this. He does a lot of outreach, so it's definitely worth checking into. I'm going to, because hey man, the older I get, the kind of more, I don't know, natural I kind of want things to be. All right, so shifting gears a little bit. Comment below, let us know what you thought of that episode. And so I got one here. Bobby Lee's he wants to make a little extra side cash in the cattle industry here. Here's a way you can make about $780,000. So,
in what amount of time and how much land do I need?
Well, let me tell you here. So, in a dramatic twist that's shaking up the livestock industry, a federal grand jury in Charlotte, North Carolina has indicted a Texas man in a massive $780,000 cattle theft scheme. Clint Clifford. That just sounds like Clint Clifford kind of sounds like a cattle rustler.
He's got 2 first names.
He does. Clint Clifford. Clint Clifford Sicking. Actually, Clint Clifford Sicking. It's an interesting name. 40-year-old from Munster, Texas, is the second person charged in this high-stakes case following his co-conspirator, William Dalton Edwards. That dude's got damn near 3 first names.
Damn, he does, yeah.
William.
There's nothing but first names around here.
Yeah. Then that dude was only 25 years old, from Mount Airy, North Carolina. So from April 2018 to October 2022, Sicking and Edwards allegedly orchestrated a complex fraud operation targeting livestock markets across North Carolina, Texas, Oklahoma, and Virginia. They wrote bad checks for cattle purchases, knowing full well the damn checks were worthless. Before they could be flagged, they quickly moved the cattle out of state and resold them in Texas, Oklahoma. So they were just going, I guess, from auction to auction, selling the cattle and then getting the hell out of there.
I think I caught a little wind of this story a month or so ago. Yeah. Yeah, they would just buy them, write a hot check, would turn around and sell them, and it would, take.
Gotcha.
Get all that cash, or immediately cash out that check from where they sold them, and they never really legally owned them because they had written bad checks to buy them, and which them finding, because I remember as I read that, I was like, I mean, I told the story on here, I think, where when I was buying the calves one time at a local sale barn, and like they pretty much check your credit when you get there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like if you want to bid online, and Corbett talks about that every morning because he's always promoting cattle sales. Like, hey, if you want to bid online, because he works for DV Auction, who does the online bids, he's like, call ahead, get approved to bid. Well, like I showed up that morning, like gave him my information, gave him my bank account. But my bank, my checking account didn't have that much money in it.
Oh, I do remember
because
this.
I use a line of credit from Farm Credit, which they just asked for your bank information. And I was like, well, I just gave them literally my actual, what I consider my bank.
Yeah.
Even though Farm Credit is where I get all my actual credit from. And, you know, I don't know, I had a few $1,000s in there, and after but they apparently called the bank. I figured it was all a formality. They weren't going to actually call and check up on me.
And they did.
Which apparently some of these sale barns don't do that. Because, immediately, like, once I bought so many calves that got over that amount that I had in my check, they stopped the sale and pulled me down. Which I didn't even have to prove it to them. They were like, now, are you? And I was like, yeah, it's in my Farm Credit account. Like, as soon as I get my ticket from y'all today, I'm going to call Farm Credit, say, hey, transfer this much to my checking account, and I'll write y'all a check.
Wow, man. Yeah,
now, that's because I guarantee you these boys didn't defraud that local sale barn of ours.
That's right.
Unless because of the situation with me, they decided they'd quit doing it.
Yeah, they were like, well, this guy proved that everybody's all right.
Yeah, no, not everybody's as honest as Bobby Lee.
That's right. So the scheme, it said, actually defrauded family-owned sales barn. That's the worst part. And family-owned sale barn.
And that's the whole thing. That's one reason Corbett really pushes sale barns. Sale barns are like, especially in a lot of these rural areas, they're a big-time deal for the local community, the local economy. Especially, the more rural these areas get, especially. And so, a lot of them all are small. Yeah, like, well, hell, I met the guy that owned the one because he was down there about to beat my ass for buying too many cattle.
Yeah.
Nice guy. He actually called me the next day and apologized. These are small businesses. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they defrauded over 900 head of cattle. It said resulted in significant financial losses exceeding $780,000. These markets, bound by law to pay farmers and ranchers promptly, were left to bear the brunt of the deceit. So, I guess the sale barns.
Yeah, I don't know if they have insurance to protect them from stuff like that.
Shit, that'd be enough to probably put some of them out of business.
I guarantee you they all call now to check everybody's credit.
Yeah.
If they don't know you.
Yeah, dang. Sicking now faces multiple charges, including conspiracy, bank fraud, and theft of livestock, each with severe potential penalties. The conspiracy alone could land him up to 5 years in prison, while bank fraud might lead up to 30 years behind bars. Edwards, who pleaded guilty on August 2nd, is awaiting sentencing. Interestingly, the U.S. Department of Justice reported the scheme as a $1 million operation, though the exact figure of $780 is currently under clarification. So, it says here, this case serves as a stark reminder of the vigilance needed in the livestock industry and the far-reaching impact of fraudulent schemes.
So they did it from April of 18 to October of 22?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what, cause I was going to ask, like, it was 900 head, but only $780,000, just because easy math, at $1,000 a head, that'd be $900,000.
Yeah.
I'm like,
good time. They got in at the right time.
well, they got in, when cattle were cheaper. Yeah, because I was like, dang, like, today? Which they were buying and selling, like, immediately, so it didn't really matter what the market was. They were, today, depending on what you're buying, like, if you're buying something for less than $1,000 a head, you're either buying just total trash or like some dang balling like peewee calves. And even them, like, it's hard to, I don't even know. But anyway, that's why those numbers, especially like in 2020 when the market really took a downturn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could buy, it was easy to buy cattle for less than $1,000 a head.
Yeah. Well, that was pretty crazy to me. The story is still ongoing. Like I said, August 2nd, Edwards, he pleaded guilty on August 2nd. He's awaiting sentencing. I just thought that was crazy. $780,000, 900 head of cattle. Man, it's like, I swear, some of these these fraud charges and fraud cases like that, they would make a great movie. Like, you could make a movie about this. Like, have them, like, going in, you could build up the drama and have it. Like, these would be, like, a fascinating thing to watch because it's crazy, man. Almost $1 million. Like I said, the U.S. Department of Justice reported it as $1 million operation. And, I'm just imagining, like they got to have the amount of cattle they had to be buying was pretty good. So they had to have had like their own semis coming up in there and hauling these cattle out.
Well, you don't ever know. I mean, did it say how many they were buying at one time from
No.
the sale barn? Which they could have been. I mean, that wouldn't have been terribly difficult to do, because they could have still been paying the truckers legitimately. But they could have been using a gooseneck, buying 15, 20 head here and there. You know, I don't know how much they were hustling this, because again, as I found out, it's not every sale barn that'll let you get away with that.
Yeah.
Which maybe they were buying $15,000 to $20,000 worth of cattle at a time, and they may have legitimately had that much in their bank account. 'Cause that's not, in the grand scheme of things, a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe they were just never sending a check. Period.
It said they would write a check. It was just a bogus check.
Okay. Or maybe they were writing a check from I don't know.
These bastards are the reasons why some of the places you go to, they're like, can't take a check.
Well, they're the why that they stop sales and drag, you can call people out of the crowd, like come down there and have a talk with the owner.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I told this. He called me the next day and was like, "Man, I apologize." I was like, "No, dude." I was like, "I understand. Like that's."
You were like, "You son of a bitch."
He's like, "Man, next time you're over here, I'll take you out for lunch." I'm like, "Oh, you don't have to do that." Well, the last time when I sold my 4030 tractor last year, I was nervous as hell. I took a check from these guys, and it was for like, I don't know, like $19,000-$20,000. But like, I drove straight to the bank. It was just like, please, dear Lord in heaven, let this. And I remember my mom was like, "You do not, whatever you do, let them write you a check." And I'm like, people aren't going to roll up with $20,000 cash.
Yeah.
And I guess I could have made them go to the bank with me.
That's what when I sold the. Well, see, I took a cashier's check on.
Well, and you're a little more protected there.
But then I had sold old 379 Peterbilt one time, and I had them meet me at the bank. We went in there.
When I sold my F-250, which that was our former guest of the podcast, two-time guest, William Lee, it was like his family. So I was like, well,
if I know him,
and I didn't know that guy, but I know people that know him, like his family, like they're vouching for him. Like, I'm cool with that. But those guys are from out of state that bought that 4030, and
it makes you nervous.
It does, yeah. And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's," which not that you should stereotype people. They were like Mennonites.
Okay, so they seemed pretty trustworthy.
Which, I mean, they could have been faking that too.
Yeah.
I mean, but
you're like, well, if they fraud me, they're going to hell.
Well, I'd say that about anybody.
Yeah,
they would know they're going to hell. Some other people may be.
Yeah, Jedediah'd have his ass kicked for doing that.
But yeah, that was. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if I ever say anything like that again. I don't know, because you want to feel like you trust people, like handshakes worth something. You know, we're in the South, good old boys. Hell yeah, but yeah, these boys are right here, basically in our neck of the woods.
Yep, and I got a buddy that he bought a tractor online, paid for it, and never got the tractor. I know. Actually, we got a local guy around here that sold a certain piece of equipment for a pretty substantial chunk of change.
Yeah,
and they came and got it, and he signed off on it. Just like you said, being like, all right, and then he never got the money for it, and he ended up having to foot the bill of it because it wasn't paid for, and it was like a substantial thing.
Well, that's like when you start buying equipment and stuff, and you see how easy some of these deals go, and you're like, whoa, it's that easy.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get to where you like, you just, you trust people and things like that, and like, oh yeah, this is a legit outfit, and yeah, I mean, when you're talking about some of this equipment and some of these cattle purchases, everything, it could be $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 without even thinking nowadays. Yeah. I don't know. You can't be too careful.
No, you can't.
The lesson there is don't ever feel bad. And I'm speaking to myself when I say that, about saying like, nah, let me go to the bank before I.
Yep. So, all right, I got another story here for us. This is just something coming down the pipeline, and a proposed rule from the USDA would clarify what is and isn't fair practice in the American meat industry. Have you heard about this? The Fair and Competitive Livestock and Poultry Markets Rule. That's what it is. It would amend regulations under the 1921 Packers and Stockyards Act to define unfair practices as business conduct that harms the market and market participants.
Well, I know they had been talking about, making some reforms to the Packer and Stockyards Act because they pretty much said it had been laughable, like they weren't enforcing any of it. So I don't know if this is part of that. I hadn't heard that exact name for it, but
yeah, well, that's what it.
Yeah, I think the general consensus amongst the livestock people is like, yeah, that they need to totally redo that or just get rid of it because they're not enforcing anything right now anyway.
That's what it says here. What we've talked about, we've said this. Just 4 companies process about 85% of the American beef, the result of a long process of corporate consolidation that started in the 80s and was exposed during COVID. Longtime South Dakota farmer and rancher Nick Nemec says the proposed rule could help. He said, if we had, I don't know what the right number is, 20 packing plants slaughtering beef, then there'd be real competition in the marketplace. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, again, I already, I think, mentioned him once or twice tonight, but, I listen to Corbett 5 days a week, and one of the things he hammers home, like, yeah, and they don't maybe directly collude, but they know, like,
yeah,
they can kind of all look at each other, wink, nod, and be like, we're not going to pay over $1.85 a pound for fat cattle this week. And they just sit there.
Yeah.
Like,
and you're
when it comes to the bidding, because there's a very few regional packers, again, they're 85% of the market. And yeah, they can just say, like, no, like, you got to do something with those cattle. Like, they're ready to be slaughtered. You can't hold them forever. We're multi-billion-dollar, corporations. Like,
if you disrupt their chain, they'll just have you killed.
Well, and I mean, hey, the biggest of them all, JBS, is basically a cartel.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they'll just have you killed. If you really disrupt it.
They've done jail time, like the brothers that own JBS. they basically, like, when it comes to, paying millions of dollars in fines, they're just like, okay, that's, like, we're budgeted to have to do that.
We're coming for you. Y'all hear us?
In all seriousness, like, that is one group of dudes, which I would love for us to have a big enough voice, but, like,
would you be a little nervous?
I would. I might have a pistol under my pillow.
Well, we got a big audience there, and they're big old boys.
They're but I mean, like, literally, they are a cartel.
I'll call my buddy Ed.
He would be somebody that if we really got big enough and started rattling their cage, that I'd be like, all right, Ed,
we need some security detail.
We need protection off the books, like, yeah, because I mean, I don't know, it wasn't within the last year or two. They actually, I don't know who leaked it, but it was basically the Packers playbook. Mm-hmm. It was all the tricks they use. Like, we shared it here. We talked about it, how they'll bid and buy the shittiest cattle they can possibly find, and they'll, because they're required by USDA to report cattle they buy, and they'll report those. And so it's reported like, wow, the fat cattle market's only it's shitty this week. It's only $1.80 a pound.
Yeah.
Well, but they're
manipulating the market.
They're purposely making cash bids on only the worst cattle.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this guy's, feeding these cattle. He knows their shit. Like, oh, hell yeah, I'll take that. And then they're buying the really good cattle on the grid, or they're not using negotiated, price discovery. And so those don't get reported. And so it's a huge game they play, and they're really good at it. They're better at the game than the cattle feeders are, mainly because they're, again, billion-dollar corporations versus, like small cattle feeders.
They got probably 50 lawyers telling them how to play the game.
Oh, I guarantee it's more than that. And then you got the huge corporate feedlots already have a sweetheart deal locked in with them. They're not selling on negotiated cash. And so that's where it's frustrating. Like, in some of the feeding areas, like in the Texas Panhandle, I think it's like less than 5% of the cattle that are sold every week are negotiated cash.
Dang. Yeah.
So it's, and the grid is based off that tiny bit of negotiation. And so he gets so frustrated. He's like, why are the other 95% of y'all selling on a grid that's just determined by only the 5%? And it's just it blows your mind, but it's easier for them to do it that way. They don't have to get out there and haggle and whatnot. And that they're so controlled by these big corporate groups. But the problem is too, I think you mentioned that this morning, where the fat cattle market is all that matters, because the feeder cattle market is derived from what fat cattle are bringing. Everything trickles down from that. And then you've got 85% of that market controlled by just 4 companies that can totally manipulate the price. So I'm sorry. I could rant on that for days.
Yeah. Well, that's what this dude said here. Because he runs a cow-calf operation. He says, while it doesn't deal directly with the big 4 beef core, he and his peers still feel the effects of their monopoly. He says, we're the little bitty pipsqueaks at the bottom of the food chain. There's nothing we can do about it. He says, we're at the whim of the market.
Yeah, well, and that's what he's got the point, because Corbett points that out too. He's like, all you cow-calf guys out there that, you don't ever deal with selling to the packers, and so you think it doesn't affect you. But no, it absolutely affects you.
Yes.
Because it affects the people that buy the cattle, who buy the cattle from the people you sell them to, because beef cattle industry is very segmented. Typically, cow-calf guy sells to the backgrounder or stocker guy, who sells to the feedlot guy, who then sells to the meat packer. But no, it all trickles back down. Like we're all getting shit on by the meat packers.
Yep. Well, they do say the comment period for the proposed rule ends September 11th. So if you want to go comment, you still got a little time.
Well, less than a week by the time this comes out.
So I got a couple more other things here. The other one, this was just crazy. And it just shows, I will never own one of these. MacDon has a new header coming out. And it's 61 foot wide.
61 foot Draper header.
61
feet. Like,
my header is 35 feet long
damn,
or wide, and I thought that was a big header. Like at the time,
61 feet. Now it's got to be for like only certain areas.
You can't. There's not a lot of. There's some fields out here you could run one in, but it's like, I don't even know why.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, because just picturing, just be like, 60 feet, that's 20 yards. It's only 2 first downs in a football game. My hay barn and my barn over my cattle are 40 by 60.
Yeah.
That means you put that sucker on a trailer, it won't even fit under my barn.
Yeah, you'd have 10 foot sticking out of both sides.
No, 6 inches.
Wait a minute, I'm thinking 40 foot.
Right, it's 40 foot wide, 60 foot long.
Oh, okay, I got you.
In there long ways,
Gotcha. Now, it's not straight. You can't drive straight through.
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah.
All right,
now you can't, because mine's full of hay.
Okay.
It's been a good hay season.
If it was 40, I was thinking 40 foot, like, that's how much coverage you'd have. So you'd have 10 foot sticking out of each side.
No, mine's 60 long, and it's got sidewalls.
I got you.
So you could pull all the way through. But yeah, you'd have 6 inches of header sticking out.
Yeah. That's a monster. Could you imagine pulling that down the road?
Like, I don't know how many fields around. Like, we have some big fields, like especially in river bottoms and whatnot. We have some fields where literally you wouldn't even make 2 good passes.
Oh, I got a couple.
Like by the time you did your outside, you'd be done.
Yeah, I work, I got one field right now I'm thinking of. It's 11 acres.
Well, hell, that's still not tiny.
No, but it has like a neck, like it comes around and runs up in a neck. I don't even know. You wouldn't even be able to cut in the. You'd have to like get the combine at an angle and try to like cut it at an angle.
Shit, I got some hay fields where you go through necks and I can barely get my 10-foot disc mower through there.
Yeah. And seeing there a 35-foot combine or a header. I'm running a 35-foot MacDon. Now, I love this. I love the MacDon headers. Dad runs a 35-foot MacDon. We've considered going to like 40s. And I got a 680 combine. I have cut some really good beans. Like I got into some 70 bushel beans last year with a 35-foot header, and I'm running the 680. It's no slouch. But it'll that combine is pumping some RPMs. So
surely it's for like...
It's for Class 9 and Class 10 combines.
Okay, so...
They're recommending like damn near 700 horsepower for this thing.
Well, or I was going to say maybe it's for harvesting... And I don't mean to disparage the grain growing ability and like another, I don't know, maybe like canola and crap like that. I don't even know how you harvest.
They show it in wheat.
Yeah,
it's
or,
a very,
or maybe like a wheat, like in like Montana, where they don't get like
30, 40 bushel yields.
right. Maybe
Yeah.
they're not cutting 100 bushel wheat, and
Yeah.
and such. Which I don't know that we cut 100 bushel wheat around here, not on average, but
Yeah.
it's not for harvesting 80 bushel soybeans.
See, and they've gone to a new thing on these drapers. Mine is just a draper. It has the belt, and it's all belt fed. It does not have. It's got the little mini center auger that feeds it into the feeder house, but it does not have the long auger anymore. Used to, you had either auger style or just belt drive, and or belt carry, and now MacDon has combined both. So now they've got draper headers that have the auger that runs in there too.
Okay.
So you get twice as good a feeding, and this one's auger style. And I don't know what a new like 45-foot header cost you $150,000. So it ain't no telling what a freaking 61-foot header is going to cost.
Well, and what does one of those combines cost?
Oh man, those class 9s, you're talking $1 million. That's like your X9 John Deere.
What does the X9 cost? Like 1.1 million?
It's 1.1, 1.2 million.
Well, I know we'd mentioned the AF10 last week.
And I think you were right. I think it is. I've got AF10 here, but I think it is AF11.
I swear I was just watching a video or something from somebody from Farm Progress Show, and I swear they said AF11. Now, they may have misspoken, and I may have misheard.
I think you're right. Now, I put in here AF11 or AF10. Google AF11 horsepower, and let's see if it comes out to 775 horsepower, because that's what I've got in here. If it is, I need to change this.
It auto-populated on my search when I typed in Case AF11. AF11.
Does it say 775 horsepower?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Class 10 plus.
Yeah. So that's what threw me off, because they got a 9 and then a 10. So the AF, this is crazy, man. This is
dual rotor technology.
Yep. Dude, so I did a comparison.
It says it's especially for small grains.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Like, why would you... I mean, I've watched those YouTube videos where they tried to set a record of like, most, I don't know if it was acres or bushels. There's probably bushels of corn harvested in a certain period.
Yeah.
And like these headers on these combines, it's like, that makes no sense, because if you're in good corn, like literally they had to have a grain cart running alongside
all the time.
them. And like the way they were able to break this record is they literally were harvesting a field with, grain bins right there. So they were like literally had like 4 grain carts that were just running nonstop and emptying in pits. And but yeah, like some of the stuff, like, okay, that's cool that you've got a 60-foot header, but how are you going to handle that much grain? Like the logistics of everything else. But it would make sense, like if you're on a custom harvest crew,
Oh yeah.
You've got a damn army out there working for you, and you're maybe harvesting a crop that's not, as dense in terms of bushels per acre.
Well, so I did a breakdown here. This is where, man, I'm trying to be more, note taking.
I can tell these last 2 weeks I've shown up with a glass of whiskey. And
I know you used to show up with a notebook.
I did.
So I've been taking notes.
Shout out to a USA made Colonel Littleton, my leather bound.
I think I bought one from them after that.
I have many leather bound novels.
Many leather bound books. You've got does your apartment smell of rich mahogany?
That's one movie. They had like a Will Ferrell marathon going on this past weekend.
Yeah.
I rarely cut it on the actual TV. We have YouTube TV, but we watched Talladega Nights and Step Brothers, and Old School.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good one.
It was on, I guess it was Sunday, Labor Day weekend. We had company over, so we were just kind of hanging around the house. There wasn't much on during the day. There was no football like there was on Saturday. We just watched a shitload of Will Ferrell.
Dude, Old School. One of my favorite parts is when Andy Dick goes to his wife's house, or Will Ferrell's old house, and he's showing him like the blowjob thing. You remember that?
Hold on. Go on.
When he goes over there and he's like a blowjob coach, and he's going to show Will Ferrell and his wife are split up, and Will like looks through the window and he sees Andy. And he's sitting there, and he's got like a carrot between his legs, and Will's wife is That part
I was
kills
thinking
me.
about the part where who is the guy who his wife, like he comes home early and like,
Oh, that's Luke Wilson.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
with like 3 people in there.
yeah, and he's like, and then he gets home and smiles, comes to the door. He's like, we're here for the gangbang.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, that was Luke Wilson. Yeah, that.
We started watching Old School. It was past that scene, but at the very end, whenever Will Ferrell runs into her in the grocery store,
Yeah.
she's like, I'm having a little gathering. You ought to come over. You're just like, don't do it.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
so pumped. He starts punching the cereal
Yeah.
boxes. Anyway, side
Yes.
tangent.
That is, that's a great movie.
Will
So,
Ferrell, raging liberal, funny as hell.
yeah, he's one of those. He's got to overlook it.
Don't worry about his politics.
Yeah.
He's funny as hell.
So I did a breakdown, to compare and contrast the AF, and I've got AF9. I guess it's AF9, but AF9 they're
You got an AF9?
yes I did. No. To compare the two, the AF9 had 634 horsepower, which is a lot.
What a turd.
Yeah. And then the AF11 has 775 horsepower. So they got crazy. But the thing that I liked was I did a compare and contrast of a John Deere versus, like, where are we at with them, if I can understand my notes here. So, all right. The X9 and the 780 as with the ones I did, and then the cases. So the Case IH AF9, and again, this isn't a fair contrast in John Deere's part because the 780 is a Class 8 combine. It's like my 680. It has 473 horsepower. That's about what my 680 has. So you're talking 473 horsepower. Then you move up to the Case, the AF9. It's got 634 horsepower. That's a big jump. Then you go to John Deere. I'll go as horsepower goes. John Deere's X9 1100, which is like their biggest, baddest dude out there, it has 690 horsepower. That's a lot of damn horsepower. Case's AF11 has 775 horsepower.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like, it's kind of like I look at it.
Yeah, for a diesel engine, you're like, yeah, I mean, that
is.
Because some people, if we got some people that aren't directly in ag, you're like, oh, well, a lot of cars have,
But these got probably 4,000 torque.
Right. A diesel engine, it's different, and I'm not going to pretend to understand all that, but, in my just initial, like, outsider's view, because I don't own a combine, I doubt I ever will. I'm proud to see that Case is really pushing it like that.
Yeah.
Because, not that I'm a huge Case guy, I don't know that I own a single piece of Case equipment.
You just want to see the giant fall.
No, I just want to see competition.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that Gleaner, it comes out with one, and Kloss, and whoever else, let's, when you've only got one company pushing the envelope, they can do whatever they want, charge whatever they want, and you're just forced to, if you want to run that kind of machine, you're forced to pay it and deal with it. But when you need competition. Competition makes everything better.
It does. It does. I agree. Well, that's how. See, on the grain tank here,
because I am surprised. Like, you would think, like, oh no, Deere will be blowing Case out of the water, and it's like, whoa.
Well, and that's where
I'm sure Deere's going to have an X10 or.
Oh yeah, their engineers are working on something.
1,400 horsepower. Like, they're not even gonna. They're like, no, we ain't even playing. Like,
yeah. Well,
their engineers down in Mexico.
Yes. Combine wise, I will say I've not run one, but it is pretty contested on who is the king. Between really, look, I know that Fent is kind of really up and coming and making some waves, but at the end of the day, your top contenders is John Deere and Case. I mean, they are the.
Well, I think Fent and Gleaner are all kind of the same thing, aren't they?
They're with AGCO.
I think AGCO, like, they're all under AGCO.
Yeah, but Case is supposed to be one bad dude combine. But here is what I thought was interesting: grain tank capacity, because that is important to me. Because my 680 has the folding out thing, and it'll hold a lot of grain. And so the X9, it'll hold 460 bushels. You can add extensions, and you can hold 485 bushels. Are they all AGCO?
Yeah, Fent, Massey Ferguson.
Massey Ferguson just came out with some a new tractor that's really supposed to be really bad at the bone.
Gleaner, White. No, there's all kind of, there's a bunch of companies.
Yeah.
Well, kind of like our food discussion last week. How think, oh, there's all these different brands in the grocery store. Yeah, they're all owned by two companies. Yeah.
Yep. Well, then, so the X9, you can hold up to 485. The 780 can hold 400 bushels. But I'm interested to see, because the Case ones have not released their specs on the bushels.
Because that's the whole big thing. Like, yeah, that's great. But, like, if you're, I mean, you can do the math. You know, if you're cutting, 80 bushel beans.
They've got to be able to hold 500 bushel. I'm going to say right now, at least the AF11. If it doesn't have a 500 bushel capacity, I will be really disappointed.
For reference, what does your 680 hold?
It holds about 400, 350 to 400.
That's a bunch,
Oh, dude, it's a big step up from, the 9770, this holds about 100 bushels more than my 9770.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, man, it actually threw me off the first time because I didn't calibrate a yield monitor. And I ran longer before I got full. And I'm like, damn, my beans or whatever must not be that good.
Yeah,
but it's because...
That's a bunch of weight.
It is. Yeah, I guess when I cracked a rim.
Yeah.
680 was bad about cracking rims. I didn't know that till I got it.
Yeah, that's over 10 tons worth of grain.
Yeah. I was driving, and I kept hearing something popping. And I'm like, what is that? And I didn't know what it was clicking, and then I got off to do something.
Turn the radio up.
Yeah. I did the thing where I'm like, maybe it'll stop if I just don't do anything. It'll quit, and it kept
just
on.
Turn the radio up, it'll stop.
Well, I finished up for the day or something, and I walked around. I think I was taking a piss, and I just happened to glance at the rim, and it was like a spider web of crack running up through one way over here and one way over here, and I was like, whoa, man, I'm about to break a dual off this thing.
Get that mobile welder out.
Yeah, man. So that became a fiasco. We actually mounted a tire, put it on there. Well, it was the wrong rim, so the tires were touching.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ran it because they had to special order me a rim. So I would cut about a half a hopper of grain and have to unload because then the tires would be mashing so hard together. I scared it was going to blow a rim off or blow a tire off. So yes, a lot of weight.
Sketchy shit you do on the farm.
Yes, and when it's crunch time, you just got to do what you got to do. That's the big thing I got on there. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much got my notes that I had from last week. But yeah, man, I don't know, and I mentioned last week, Bobby Lee and I, we should have had our butts at the Farm Progress show because that's where they unveiled the combines, and it was pretty cool. I've never been.
Did they give one away?
I wish.
They have a box there where you fill out.
You got to give a little blood, they got a vial in there you give some blood to, and semen.
Hell, I gave blood today.
And semen?
I have not given any semen today.
I've heard that pays pretty good.
Yeah, it might. I don't know. I've never marketed mine anywhere.
With the way commodity prices are going, I might explore that option.
Above it.
Yeah, I'm not above it.
You might have little kids all over the globe.
I know. I don't have a college degree. I think they want you to have a college degree. I think it's because with man, they'd look at a high school GPA and they'd be like, yeah, we'll give you $20. Yeah.
You're like, hell, I used to do this for free.
Yeah, man, come on.
You mean you're gonna pay me?
That's right. Hey, $20 is $20. That's what they say. But if any of you went to Farm Progress, I want you to let me know. Write us some emails. We've got several emails. I was gonna do some tonight, but I hate to do it at this point because we've pretty much rolled on with that. Let me make sure I didn't have any more really riveting news stories here. Double checking my phone here. Dude, Robbie Starbuck has been just a beast, man. He took Ford. He got Ford.
Shit, man.
Who else?
He got Molson Coors yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
And his whole thing is now he's not even blowing the lid on these companies. Just the threat of him investigating has them totally scrapping their DEI policies.
Which it's crazy how many are on other boards. Because it was it was Coors.
It's all the incest. We're just talking about all these companies just own each other.
Yep.
Like, and that's where the whole like globalism, conspiracy theory thing starts to become a little bit real for me. When you realize, like, all right, we got a relatively small number of companies that are controlling all these brands underneath them. You didn't even realize. So there aren't that many actual independent brands. And then when you look at, all right, well, a lot of these independent brands, their board of directors is the same jackwagons that are on these other. So, but yeah, so Jack Daniels was one. So Jack, Ford Motor Company, Molson Coors, like there's been a bunch that it's like literally he's scared. Like it's crazy. Now Vance Crowe, who I've referenced on here a bunch, does the Vance Crowe podcast. He's an ag. I mean, he's definitely an ag kind of guy. He talked about him for a while, and how he's a little bit worried about how he goes about things, because and you just need to listen to him talk about it, how the mob mentality scares him, because he lived in Africa for a while in the Peace Corps, and he saw how mob justice like reigned in places like that, and he's like, man, it is not like there's a lot like the mob is great
when it's in your favor.
Yes. Yeah. But the mob can turn, and there's no rules to it. You know, it's a dangerous thing. That's why he's like, look, I agree with a lot of things Robbie is talking about, but he's like, I don't know that I agree with the tactics of the way they.
So what you're saying is we need to start our own mob.
I don't know. Like I think again, I have a hard time. Like I hear what Vance is saying, and I'm like, yeah, Vance, I respect that. I kind of agree with it, but like at the same time, like I see Robbie taking down DEI. Well,
it's like hell yeah, like, brother. Yeah.
But,
dude, the vehicle one. I mean, Ford shocked me because the vehicles, like I didn't figure.
What a time for me I've sold 2 Ford vehicles this year.
Yep. And now
I went from having 2 Fords to 0.
And now they might be the only non-gay one out there. I keep waiting to see if he's going to go after GM or Ram. Like, I mean, because I know they're in all the crap too. Coors had 100 score on the DEI thing, or HRC or whatever it is. They had a 100. They even beat out John Deere.
Ram would probably surprise me in the roast, because Ram,
they try to be kind of rural.
Yeah, I mean,
cater to the rodeo kind of crowd.
Yeah, they're the sponsor of Pro Rodeo, Official Truck Pro Rodeo, and I don't have anything against PBR, but like Ford's always been the PBR. The PBR crowd's a little different. Like I don't have anything against PBR. Like I've been to PBR events, they're cool, but like that crowd versus the actual Pro Rodeo crowd is a little different.
It is. I'll agree with that.
And it,
I've been to PBR. When I was in Vegas, NFR was there, and it was a different crowd. It's kind of like. And again, I've gone to PBR things actually several times now. I've taken my kids, and they had a lot of fun. But it's almost like the guys that go to UFC fights, and one crowd wears tap-out shirts, and the other one just has like a standard jiu-jitsu shirt. You know, like one guy's like truly in it for the style of fighting, and the other guy's there just to see somebody get punched in the nose.
Yeah. The PBR crowd, like, there's definitely the Venn diagram of like PBR fans who also have tap out shirts.
Yeah.
A lot of overlap.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of leather pant wearing dudes at PBR.
Assless chaps.
Man, I don't know. Like, I've never been in like the VIP, like
that part,
the behind the shoots scene of the PBR events. There might be some of that.
That's where the cocaine is.
I would not rule that out.
Yeah. Yeah, if I was going to get on a bull's back and ride it, I would probably take a hit of cocaine in that scenario.
Whew.
You know, speed you up.
I've never ridden bulls. I've known.
You've
some
been
guys,
launched by one.
I've known some guys who had done that at one time, and you hear stories, and it's like, yeah, I think it's not necessarily, ubiquitous, but it's not uncommon either in that world, I don't think either. So anyway, that's enough slander of our bull riding brethren.
Oh man, I love them. I'd love to get, I had Tim on my other show, Tim McConnell.
Yeah, he's
bareback.
He's been injured all year, but I think he's planning on making a comeback next year.
Yeah,
and the rough stock events, it's been a bad year for those for previous world champions.
All getting injured.
Well, Stetson Wright's been out all year. He's he's the defending all-around champion.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, was winning the bull riding world championship last year until he got hurt. Then Kai Hamilton, who won the bull riding, he has come back from injury, but I hadn't checked standings real recently, but I think he may have even decided, like, look, he's not going to, it's just too late in the year to make a big push for the NFR. Of course, Tim McConnell, he is a world champion, bareback rider, been out all year.
Has no tailbone.
Like those rough stock events, like that is not, they're here for a good time. They ain't here for a long time.
No, I mean, Tim literally has no tailbone.
Like,
you know, his tailbone has been ground off.
Try to make as much money on winning and endorsements as they can.
Yes.
Just like running backs in the NFL. Like, yeah, you might have a season or two on average, and that's it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, big pro rodeo fans here.
Yeah. We'll have us a rodeo man on.
Which I guess this year we can still go to the NFR. We need to go to Farm Progress Show, NFR.
I'm game to go to NFR.
Hell, we ain't even been to the Farm and Gin Show, and it's 30 minutes away.
I go every year.
Well, but we.
I know. I can't get you to go.
No, like if we legitimately like wanted to go and like have a presence there, like hell, I can.
Well, we need to do that at Farm Progress for sure.
I can get.
Hell, we need to have a presence at NFR. I can't get my wife to go, so we'll just go.
Shit, it's during my wife's birthday, and every year I'm like, we're gonna go. We're
December
gonna go.
12th. When's her birthday?
Well, so the NFR is 10 days long.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it always at the first part of December. Her birthday's December 4th.
Yeah.
And so, which
she won't go.
I mean, she is not a huge Vegas fan, which I am not a huge gambler. Like, I like to bet on sports. I had a good college football weekend, by the way.
Do you know when to hold them?
Which means I'm going to lose my ass this weekend betting college football. But
do you know when to fold them? Do you know? Do you know when to walk away?
But I do know when to run. And I'm always counting my money. So.
Yeah.
But
well, you never count your money.
But that's
when
where
you're sitting at the table.
That's where I mess up. But anyway, Kenny, we miss him. But
I've been teaching my kids how to play poker, and I've played the gambler.
Here I am teaching my kids about different bourbons, and you're teaching them how to gamble.
We are both killing it.
Dads of the year.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. My whole point was like I'm much more of a sports gambler, which Vegas is great for that. But hell, now you can do it on your damn phone. I do it all the time.
And you ain't got to fly nowhere.
Yeah. But no, I would absolutely. Like, I'm like, babe, it's not. Don't think of it as going to Vegas. You're going to the NFR.
Yeah.
Like, it's a totally different vibe out there during the NFR.
Oh, dude, I've only been to Vegas during the NFR, but it was not what I expected, because everybody there had on cowboy boots and cowboy hats and rodeo vests. And
see, I've been to Vegas a half dozen times and never during the NFR. Man, Vegas is just a weird place. Like, it's somewhere you want to go for, at least me, and I've said it many times, like, we're not big on going out of town for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. But when I go to Vegas, I'm like, 3 nights, I think, is probably the magic spot.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I've ever been for more than 3 nights. I've been a couple of times where I was only there for like 2 nights. Like, I was there for less than 48 hours.
I was there for 2 nights when I went. I was booking a flight home early.
Depending on how much you want to get into the Vegas scene, like 2 nights, man. Hell, I'm too old for doing a lot of that stuff for very long. But the NFR, I'm like, man, let's go. We'll go to, I feel like go to the rodeo a couple of nights in a row, maybe be there for a 3rd night where you just hang out.
Go to the big cowboy Christmas thing they got.
Yeah, go watch it on the big screen at one of the sports books.
I was mad because when I was there was my buddy Bo that lived in Vegas. He had moved like 4 days or something before I got there. Like, literally.
He heard you were coming.
Yeah, he got out of Dodge. But I asked him some places to eat at, and he told me this one steakhouse. I don't remember the name. I'd have to look at our text.
You can trip and fall into a 5-star steakhouse. That's what I tell my wife. I'm like, look, you don't have to gamble. Like, I think the last few times I've been, I've not sat down at a single table and
but the one he told me to go to, I was mad because I ended up just getting eating at the casino. Like, I walked around.
You like the buffet?
Yeah. I went. They had a steak shop in there, steakhouse in there, and I went and ate. But the one that he told me to go to, I was on Instagram later that night, and all the Ryan Bingham, Cole Hauser, and a bunch of them folks from Yellowstone were at the damn one that he told me to go to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit. Beth and all of them were there. I could have gone and seen them.
Well, and again, I've been to Vegas again like a half dozen times, and which we've had a couple of restaurants we really like, so we want to go back to them when we go. But it's like, dude, you could like all the 5-star. Like I don't know how many there are. Like I'm not ever going to have enough opportunities to eat at all of them because I don't plan on going to Vegas that many times. But
Yeah.
There's still been several steakhouses. Cause we're scheduling a trip, like I'm like the nerd, like goes online. It's like, oh man, we need to eat at this place or that place. There's still places that I've been wanting to eat at since I first went out there. We still hadn't got to yet because it's just like, just the food alone. Like if you're just a foodie, don't give a dang about gambling or going to a nightclub, whatever.
Titty bar, you know.
Yeah, you can have a good time in Vegas. I'm not. It's not really a place I'd want to necessarily take my kids, but like,
well, for the NFR would be cool.
Oh yeah. But there's plenty of like, hell, the damn, was it New York? New York's got a damn roller coaster like in the casino. Like, yeah, there's plenty of stuff to do.
Yeah.
Just tell them to avoid the Hispanic guys handing out the pamphlets after dark.
Yeah.
Prostitution is legal there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You got the company?
Yeah, I got one. It's actually one that's been on my list for a long time, and it's a Tennessee company, so I'm a little bit ashamed that I have not highlighted them sooner.
It's not Lodge, is it? We already did Lodge.
Yeah, we've done Lodge Cast Iron. We already mentioned Colonel Littleton.
Yeah.
We got several. We got some Tennessee manufacturing here. But this one, oh man.
You almost...
We have got to get him on the board. You know,
we're going on like 3 years of saying that.
The media has forgotten that he existed.
And you had to.
And I had to. Good grief. I don't even know where I'm all flustered. Where are my favorites? He's my favorite president, so.
Yeah, well, it's everybody's.
I mean, most popular ever, like 82 million votes.
Yep.
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
All right, now.
So all that build up, our Tennessee company. It's another coffee company.
All right.
I know this is like 18 different coffee companies we've done. But roasted right here in Tennessee, Frontier Coffee Company.
Okay, I've heard of them. I didn't know that was in Tennessee.
Yep. They are, so their story, Nate and Jennifer Dressel, they actually started with a drive-through stand in Washington. And now they have a full-scale premium craft roastery based in the Smoky Mountain foothills of East Tennessee. Cool. But yes, I have their blends are pretty cool. They let me pull it up right here. They have the Betsy Ross Liberty Lover, the Colonel Crockett. Hey, Davy Crockett, Tennessee legend.
You're welcome, Alamo.
Yeah. Texans, yeah, you're welcome. The Lewis and Clark Dark Roast, the Annie Oakley Espresso. So lots of cool names.
Is the dark roast for Lewis and Clark because one of them killed themselves?
It's pretty dark. I did not know that about Lewis and Clark. We got a history lesson.
Yeah, Meriwether? Wasn't that his name? Meriwether Lewis?
Hell, I don't know.
Or Meriwether Clark? Which one was Meriwether?
You're the damn history buff here on me.
One of them killed themselves.
But yeah, they're veteran owned. They do a lot of special roast. Where they, for veteran causes, things like that. But yeah, Frontier Coffee Company, right here in the great state, the greatest state in my opinion.
Yeah,
Tennessee. But yeah, check them out. I'm trying to think. I've had some of their coffee quite a while ago.
All right, I was wrong. Neither of them killed themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was Meriwether Lewis. Wait a minute. Okay, it wasn't to kill himself, but Meriwether Lewis died on October 11th, 1809 at the age of 35 from gunshot wounds. He was shot twice in the chest and once in the head while staying at an inn in Tennessee.
Holy hell.
Got killed in Tennessee.
Lewis of Lewis and Clark got killed. Got murdered.
Oh, no, look, I was right. The official cause of death was ruled as self-inflicted, but there is some debate. Damn, I knew
how did he shoot himself in the head? And
he
the
was
chest?
like, bam, shot in the chest. He's like, damn, and then, bam.
That's plausible that like, oh, that was not fatal. Let me
He's
shoot
like,
myself.
2 bad shots, going for the 3rd. He went with the head. He didn't want to do another one in the chest. He did a Mozambique drill. 2 in the chest, 1 in the head.
Yeah, man, you got all kinds of references. What was the Alabama thing earlier?
Alabama Rehab. Let me just play a little bit of that one for us before we call it a night.
Is it a movie reference?
No, it's actually a buddy of mine showed me this. I had never heard of it. He talked about freebasing cocaine and doing some toot. And I was like, what the hell is toot?
Well, while Logan is looking that up, y'all can do like I'm going to do. Go to agzaga.com. Get you some Bailnet wrap, the Flexzilla garden hoses. Man, I was having to mow my yard today for the first time in like 3 weeks, which hell, that rain today was as disappointing as hell.
Oh, yeah, it's gone
it was
already.
great that it rained all day, but I went out there and it kind of rained for like really light for a couple hours. I walked out there and I had like 0.08.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, if it keeps this up for another hour, I might get to a 10.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to go ahead and sell our heifers.
Really?
My one farm that needed the most rain got the least over this last week.
That's all mine have done. All mine in Shelby County have gotten about 3/10.
So it rained Thursday, Friday.
I got a 10th was the most I got anywhere.
But I'm talking about going all the way back to last Thursday.
Yeah.
It rained Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and then again today, which is Wednesday. My farm that needed it the most, where my heifers are, got about a 1/2 inch total out of all those rains.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
And I talked to people that, as a crow flies, probably aren't 5 to 7 miles away from me. They got like 3 inches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is insane.
Yeah.
But it really isn't, because I would get like a 1/2 inch at my house out of some of those rains. I drove up the road to that farm.
2 inches.
No, 10th.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The opposite. And that was where I needed it the most, and we got the least.
Yeah. Well, that's how I am. Bolton has gotten about 6/10 now over that span of rain.
Oh, yeah, you're right there with me, yeah.
Yeah. Well, on a lighter note, here's Alabama Rehab.
Time in my life when I was down so low, a mosquito wouldn't even bite me. I lost my job, my 4-wheel drive. I even got thrown out of my trailer. All because of one thing, freebasing cocaine. That's all my life was basing, nothing else. I was on that last lap with that checkered flag about to weigh me on into hell, but I got lucky. I got in a rehab program down there at Redstone Arsenal, down there in Alabama, and with them people helping me, well, that smoky white devil is no longer a part of my life. And I can proudly say that today, I do not freebase cocaine. Now, I'll take a drink now. I will take a drink, but I do not freebase cocaine. But, I'll take a drink, and I might even smoke a little reefer. I like to smoke reefer. It relaxes me and everything. A couple of doobies, just to get you through the day and everything. But as far as basing goes, I don't do it. Now, I do some toot now. Don't get me, I will do some toot, if you party and everything, somebody comes up and give it to you, it's impolite not to take it there. So me and my girlfriend, Sally, we party, man. I tell you, we do party. So, I will do some toot. We do, on a good weekend there, we call a bunch of friends over, we do about an 8-ball of toot there, but we don't base. I do not freebase cocaine. We'll make that clear. I don't do it. Well, I tell you what, that drinking now, I would not drink that tequila. Now, I tell you what, the last time I drank it, I got wild and everything. My girlfriend said I beat up on Sally. And, when I done that, it hurt me a lot more than it does her when I'm beating the hell out of her. So I don't drink that tequila now. And I don't do any basing. I do not freebase. That's 2 things I don't do. It's no longer part of my life. But I tell you what, I will, tequila, I admit, I do drink it about twice a year, I drink some tequila. And of course, when I do drink it, Sally, you better look out, because I'm going to go upside that head now. Oh, but basing I don't do.
That's the Alabama Rehab.
So I had to look it up, like, what is freebasing cocaine? And it actually gets really scientific.
Oh, really?
So
is it with aluminum foil?
It has to do with, like, being a damn chemist, basically. So powder cocaine can be snorted, rubbed on the gums, or mixed with water and injected into the bloodstream. Cocaine can also be combined with water and baking soda to make crack cocaine, which is typically smoked. Another way to take cocaine is known as freebasing, which essentially means separating the cocaine base from the salt. So you're freeing the base from the salt, producing an almost 100% pure form of the drug.
Oh, man.
So freebase cocaine is particularly strong, which poses a higher risk of addiction and overdose.
Gotcha.
So, I would assume when people say freebase and cocaine, they're just talking about how hard
They got some pure stuff, man.
Yeah, like it's extra. Like
this is the goods.
But this is from like some health website, or probably for rehab.
Our listeners,
which we encourage anyone out there that has an issue, like please
get help.
In all seriousness, as we sit here and kind of make jokes, but yeah, it said it kind of fell out of favor because it was actually kind of dangerous. The whole process of
creating free-based cocaine,
using like ether. I don't know. Yeah,
wow.
It talks about a lot about crack cocaine.
Our Talk Dirt to Me listeners are going to learn so much about cocaine.
Yeah, freebasing process starts with powder cocaine and it ends with what is technically known as cocaine sulfate. The conversion process involves ammonia and usually a small glass pipe and a piece of clean, heavy copper. Yeah, sounds really illegal.
It does. Have you ever seen Scarface?
You know, I don't know that I've ever sat down and watched the movie.
Oh man, that's a good movie, man. It's
I've seen Blow.
Blow is good with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
But Scarface, you know, he's got just that mountain of cocaine. He just sinks his head down into it. And I guess that's about the time that all hell breaks loose and he busts out his gun there, and that's when he's like does his famous "say hello to my little friend" and like blows the door open with a grenade launcher and just starts shooting people. He's getting shot like 100 times, but he's so freaking. He's on like literally a mountain of cocaine.
He's probably been freebasing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, he chops a guy up with a chainsaw in a bathtub too.
Well, it says here that freebasing cocaine may be
can cause you to chop people up with a chainsaw.
It does not say that specifically, but may be specifically enticing to someone who has been dealing with cocaine abuse for a while, which means they develop a tolerance to the drug, making it hard to feel the same effects.
So it's like when I double deck Rogue pouches.
Yeah. When you're throwing in a couple of the Zens, freebasing is for professionals only.
Does it say that?
No, I mean, that's the too long didn't read version.
You're a base diver.
Like you don't. First time in, you don't need to do that. Which again, we do not recommend that at all.
Yeah. But it is a free country.
Stick to the whiskey.
If you can't get your rocks off,
like our old boy that did the Alabama rehab, he'll still have a drink.
Now he'll go upside Sally's head. Don't do that. But hey, you know, Billy Wayne used to tell Dad, if he can't get his rocks off with beer and cigarettes, then he don't need it. That's what he'd always say. He said, if I can't get my rocks off with beer and cigarettes, then I don't need it.
And here we are sitting here drinking whiskey.
Drinking whiskey. We ain't got no cigarettes though, but I do like my nicotine pouches.
I got a nicotine pouch in my pocket.
Yeah. All right, guys. Leave us a rating and review. Shoot us a message. TalkDirtPodcast.com. Go to the contact page and shoot us a message on there. Let us know if any questions you got. Again, check out our shirts. Leave us a rating and review. Tell your friends about the show. We can't stress that enough. That's what we really want you to do. Be watching. We'll do another giveaway here soon. And then it'll be epic as always.
Yeah, you never know what might be in that giveaway. So
might be some cocaine.
I knew Logan was going to say that.
Yeah, might be some cocaine in there.
Might.
It will not be shipped via USPS if it is, because they specifically ask you, like when you ship something, it's like, does this contain, you know, it's got like a list of stuff.
Do you read that before you just click no?
I have one time before because I sent some honey and it's like a food.
Oh, I just always click no. I'm like, y'all just take this shit.
Well, I told her, I was like, this has honey in it. And she's like, oh, okay, then click it. It does contain. So I was like, all right.
I'd be afraid that it would ask me like 14,000 more questions.
No, it didn't. No. All right, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Yep.